100 Thieves has officially dropped another bombshell on the Call of Duty esports community by announcing their newest pickup. Octane, previously of OpTic Gaming, has officially signed under the 100 Thieves banner, now making the 100T roster, filling up now to Kenny Farrow and, of course, Octane. Who will be the fourth? And who could honestly even be the fifth? The discussions are still looming. They're still around the potential of that being a possibility. But, of course, considering all things as the best of four style, we will progress. Now, when I originally saw this announcement of Octane joining the 100 Thieves lineup, I have to say I was fairly surprised. I really was. I had heard the rumors. I'd heard the speculation. However, I didn't think there would actually be a possibility to drop a guy like Octane after only 3 to 4 months of being on the official roster. Now, there was speculation around why he was the one to go, regarding internal problems, regarding internal relationships with the team. However, I'm not going to be getting into something as specific as that, especially when it isn't confirmed. However, that initial argument started to get me thinking about what could happen involving OpTic Gaming, and I had mentioned it in other 100 Thieves segments in past regarding how I had heard Octane could be a target. It was for that exact reason, for a few other things as well, but that originally got me thinking, could Octane leave the OpTic Gaming team? Could he be dropped from the OpTic Gaming team? And there was officially a tweet that came out from Octane saying that, hey, I didn't want to leave the team. I was dropped from the roster. It was not my decision. It was there. So it wasn't a decision of saying Octane wanted to leave the team. It was OpTic officially dropping him as the player. Now, I want to say the main reason why I'm surprised of this is for a few different things, right? Of course, with Black Ops 4 coming up, we saw what the pace is going to be much quicker than World War II. It's a faster style, more engagements, etc., etc. Depending on if Ban and Protect are in the game next year, you got to have versatile players, guys who can use different types of weapons, guys who are used to different playstyles, used to different situations around the map. And then also you need someone who has that experience in the biggest stage. As per usual, every single year, having experience on big stages is worth its weight in gold, without question. So, and a guy who can also carry the slang load from time to time is also very nice. And it just so happens to be that Octane literally fills every single one of those roles. Is at his best when it's a faster paced game. Is one of the most versatile players I've ever seen, especially relating back to Black Ops 3, where the guy would literally run an ICR versus Shivas and regular M8s and just absolutely decimate every single person, and also knows what it's like to be on the biggest stage and has literally carried teams to finals. It's happened many, many times. Now I want to point out, though, I understand whenever we talk about Octane's run on OpTic Gaming, it wasn't the best, right? But I think a top 3 AR over the past, 3 to 4 seasons deserves more than a 3-month trial period. When you could argue the title coming up next could also be his very best, all things considered. So with a 3-month window, with all new teammates, the biggest spotlight in esports, not having his exact role, the pressure of representing the defending championship team, and do you want to say Octane didn't have the greatest of times? Obviously, what do you want out of this guy with all those things considered? Like, where do you go from here? Like, how do you coach a player like that when he literally has everything changed up and you have a 3-month trial period and you're saying, hey, Octane, where are you at? Where's your play style? Like, what's going on here? Why are the KDs so low? Why am I not seeing the same stats that I'm used to? To me, there's no argument as to why it shouldn't have been the way that it was. Now, the rumor, of course, that's currently surfacing is that TJ Halley of Rise Nation and Dashy of Complexity will be joining the team, and that would be in place, of course, of Octane, as we've already seen Octane being released from the team, and rumored to be Methods as well. Now, for those that know me, speaking specifically on Dashy as well as Octane, for those who know me or follow me on social media, I am a huge Dashy fan. Like, I have bought jerseys, I watch his stream on a regular basis, and I believe him to be the next great player. Now, I know he still has a lot to learn, but I feel like he can really put up some big numbers as he's shown through the end of Infinite Warfare, through the entire season of World War II, and he put up those big numbers at every single event that he attended in this title. However, though, I will say in the release of Octane, if this was their plan, of course, how will Dashy equate to truly learning how to play the game? You can be a great slayer, right? You can absolutely be a great slayer, but when you're playing against the very best teams, sometimes baiting, hopping in the hill when it's maybe not the best thing for you, according to things like score streaks, according to things like stats, being told your problems as a player. That can really hurt your confidence, and it can really hurt your identity as a pro player, or even your role from time to time. How will Dashy translate that into being on the biggest organization in Call of Duty, one of the biggest organizations in the world, and one with the brightest spotlight? If he happens to be the fourth, of course. Because if you think about it, Dashy's teammates up to this point, I have a list here, Dashy's teammates haven't really prepared him for this situation. They haven't really fully prepared him for what he's about to embark on if, of course, the trade were to go through. Dashy's teammates so far in his entire competitive career have been Censor, Ricky, Blastful, Study, Fellow, Parasite, General, Bevels, Decimate, Temp, and Sinful. I don't really see an outlying leader there out of any of those players, except for maybe Parasite, and you could argue Ricky as well. But outside of that, I don't really think we've seen someone prepare him for what he's about to embark on. And I will say this, I think that OpTic is making a big sacrifice here, a big decision at this current moment on losing a player like Octane of another's potential, to me, is a very, very risky decision. Now, as far as 100 Thieves is considered here, I think they just hit another home run. I really do. I think they just hit another home run that only complements the team more and more. And the reason why all of this exists to me, the reason why they have the ability to go for multiple AR players, you could argue slashers on the table, accuracies on the table, dashies on the table. There are so many guys, Octane obviously included, that were on the table. And the reason why you have freedom in that AR position is because you have the best SMG in the world in Kenny. That difficult SMG role to find, that big buyout from a lot of different organizations right now on top SMG players, you don't have to worry about that. Reason being is because you got the guy that everybody wants. So now their lineup consists, of course, of the number one SMG player in the world, the number one S&D player in the world, along with a very, very high-level top SMG talent, aka along with the flex talent in Pharaoh. And also, you now got a top 3 AR in the world, who is incredibly versatile, I feel like isn't difficult to work with. You're not going to have too many clashes, I feel like, when it comes down to chemistry or in-game communications. And the one thing that's nice about all these guys is all three players know what it's like to lead a team. And that chemistry is going to come into their comms quite a bit. And they also fill in each other's gaps and complement each other's play styles, to me, very, very well. And I looked at a few stats that I noticed, and I thought these were very, very interesting outliers that I had not seen anyone else produce out there. So all of these players, all three, of course, keeping in mind, Kenny, Pharaoh, and Octane, all three are among the top 20 in S&D KD, and Pharaoh and Octane both are in the top 10. All three of them are among the top 14 in S&D kills per round. In hardpoint time, per 10 minutes, Kenny sits in last place. Lowest time out of, I think, there's 75 players, I believe, in this statistic. He is last with like just over 30 seconds per game. Octane happens to reside in first. So you got the worst guy in hardpoint time. Well, how do you counter that? The guy with the best amount of time. Well, there you go. You just picked up Octane. That's just another reason why he is a fantastic pickup for this team, filling in the gaps, filling in the roles that are needed. Now, what does this mean for 100 Thieves? They continually are adding players that make sense. They really are. They're continually adding players that make sense. Those are just a few statistics that make this change, this addition, a very good idea. However, I feel as if the fourth piece that's going to be added to this team would be the most valuable. They need, to me, the veteran voice. The veteran guy, the vet needs to get the call. Who should get the call, though, seems to be the question. And I feel like there is no other option to me but JKap. Right now, this team is a roster. With JKap, this becomes a team. JP, the COD Stats Lord himself, made a very compelling Reddit thread on why he also thinks JKap should be added as the fourth. And of course, along with my statistics that I've researched along with JP's, these are just a few things. First of all, you got to think of whenever you add a veteran is the chemistry. The chemistry that he brings to a team of already having Octane as a prior player with him. They're already familiar with each other on LG in their very most recent changes that have been made up. Also, back in the day, Envy in Advanced Warfare, Octane constantly talked about why he felt that he had such a great teammate in JKap to really teach him how to play the game and the fundamentals of how to play the game back in that title. And you could argue after Advanced Warfare is really when Octane started to make his rise past his initial kind of rookie season, and that's when we saw his Black Ops 3 performances, his Infinite Warfare performances, and also in World War II. Now, one thing that's also nice is the similar play styles, along with the knowledge that JKap and Octane have in each other. JKap also has been playing with one of the most aggro subs in the world in John in Luminosity Gaming. Kenny and John, you could argue, are basically the same player. Like, you give maybe a few more kills per game, a little bit more aggroness to Kenny's overall play style. You take him out of the hill a little bit more, you basically have Kenny in place of John. JKap, to me, in NBA terms, is the John Stockton of your roster. And you've got some hard hitters. You've got some guys who can score. You've got some guys who can really take off. And the one that you want to have as your fourth in this situation is the guy to free them all up to do exactly that. To free them up to have solid performances, to have that confidence in themselves in multiple roles around the map. And in a very fast-paced game, that's also going to be very, very crucial. JKap was the number one in hardpoint assists. He was the only flex player to even be in the top 10. Setting up your teammates is just another reason why JKap should be added, which is what I talked about a minute ago. JKap was also the number one flex player in bait percentage. I didn't even know the stat existed. Shout out to JP, by the way. Number one flex player in bait percentage, which is the percentage of deaths that are traded by teammates. On LG, when JKap was alive in Search and Destroy, Octane had a 1.37 S&D KD. However, when JKap was dead, Octane skyrocketed down to a 1.02 S&D KD. That is a 0.35 KD boost when JKap is alive. To add on, JKap also gave his teammates an overall 0.11 S&D KD boost when he was alive. I feel like if this is not just the case to make sure that JKap is the fourth, should be the only option as the fourth, the case should be closed. Like, there should be no arguments anymore after just those particular stats. He fits everything perfectly. I feel like he literally he fits the roles perfectly. You could argue the only maybe issue that you could have heading into Black Ops 4 is if that flex role does exist. That would mean that Pharaoh basically has to progress now to a support-minded guy, because you want to have JKap, if the game still plays similar to Boots on the Ground from World War II into Black Ops 4, you probably want to keep JKap at a flex. Regardless, though, I feel like Pharaoh can lead the team in SMG support stats. I feel like he's a very, very solid player. And there are many times that the Call of Duty Championships, most specifically, where he was going off. He was even leading the team from time to time, having those 35 and 27 games with a minute and 20 in the hill, just doing it all for the squad. And I feel like if you have a guy like that in unison with Kenny being the front line, that SMG combo is going to be absolutely disgusting. But one thing that I also want to point out that not many people have in Reddit posts, Twitter posts, whatever it may be, even YouTube videos, etc., is that one thing that's nice about JKap is that he knows what it's like to be the guy. He knows what it's like to be the best player in the world. There was no argument back at the end of MW2 and especially in Black Ops 1 who the best player in the world was. It was JKap. There was no question. Like, podcasts that were done, even minor tweets, YouTube videos that were done back then, everyone knew who the best player in the world was, and JKap was not about to shy away from letting them know about how he was the best in the game. He knows what it's like to have the highest of KDs. He knows what it's like to lead a team, and he also knows what it's like to transfer into more of a support role, having done so throughout the jetpack era and doing so far throughout World War II. Like I said, JKap knows what it's like to be in the shoes of Kenny. He knows what it's like to be in the shoes of Octane, Pharaoh. Even I was arguing before this in a prior Hunter T segment about Dashy. I think he would be the perfect mentor to a guy like Dashy on this team. However, with the players that they possess, I feel like JKap is the perfect addition to this team, and there is no argument as to who else should be approached. I feel like Hunter T only helped make their team better with the addition of Octane, and truly have only one more option that they should be looking at.